Now, our pastor, Reverend Marrice Coverson. Good morning. Good morning. So I don't know if this might go down in the basement or not, because I would have heard you sing. And I was saying, oh my God, we're trying to sing. I was saying, we all get some lessons now. But anyway, it was fun. I stood down and listened to the pianist. And I said, this might go on there. Because I said, she's the only one singing. Maybe there wasn't a lot of people up here, and it sounds only like Elizabeth down there. But anyway, good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the Church of the Spirit Sunday morning service. It's so wonderful. I like to joke with them in the morning, you know, it lights up the room, and you all can laugh at them, or me and them. But we said this morning that there are African American women and men who have paved the way in the Chicago area, in the area of spiritualism, and in the area of spiritual development. Now, there are a lot, lately I found that there are a lot of areas of people in spiritual development, but not in spiritualism, as we, in terms of the National Spiritual Association of Churches, there are not a lot of people in this organization, African Americans, but there are a lot of people developing groups. Because someone contacted me, and they had a development group, and they're reading all these books about the development of spiritualism and on, and spiritual development. And they talk about how spiritual development came from out that way of Haiti and all of that. And so there's lots of books. So I like all these books. Every time I turn around, you're like texting a book. And I said, I'll be reading forever. But anyway, I think that that's great that they are developing groups, that people are becoming more aware of their spirituality and looking at the importance of their spirituality and talking about how this religion, not per se this religion or spirituality has helped them, you can help you on this earth plane. But specifically, I want to talk about men and women in the National Spiritual Association first. And I can only talk from 78, 79, 90, 80, 79, 80, 1980. But I want to say that beginning of spiritual development, and that's at this Tucker Smith Memorial Spiritualist Temple. It's on 67th. It was on 67th in Ashland. It is now gone as well. And then in my route, and I'll tell you what the churches are that I developed from, what has happened to them. At the Tucker Smith Memorial Spiritualist Temple, this is one that I grew up in, and we had a large number of people in our classes. Like, we would have class on a Monday night, and we would have large numbers of people in that class. And we were all ages in the class. And we had development meetings, but the one medium, Louise Washington, was our teacher. She was not an ordained minister, nor was she had any of the bells and whistles of the National Spiritual Association, but she's the best medium that I had yet to meet. She knew from, she could read you anyway, anyhow. You could be closed up, you could be open up, she'll read you. And I remember one time she told somebody, you're all closed up. If you don't want to hear this, she said, she told me, I'll read you naked. And that means she'll tell you without putting a shield on it so that people won't know. Like one time she was in church and she told a man, don't go out back. She said, when the church is over, don't go out that door because your wife is waiting out there to kill you. And she was out there because he was in church with another woman. So she was really a great medium. And I was in her class, but she didn't have the bells and whistles, so she didn't teach us. Reverend Schoenfeld came over, who was the pastor of this church, and taught us some. Then there are other people came in to teach us, but she didn't teach us. But on my route, I stayed there, and then I went to, now this is interesting. I went to Reverend Anderson Church. She was on King Drive in the Bible Institute. I don't know if you heard of the Bible Institute. On King Drive in the Bible Institute. And I went with other people in the class. Millard Frazier was one, Mr. Charles was one, and some others. Alton, who sometimes come here, was one. We all went over there. And so I didn't stay long over there because there's a lady that said I wasn't comfortable in that class. But let me tell you about, before I go on there, let me tell you about her. She was a great medium. We didn't know, we knew she worked for the police department, but didn't know that she was one of the persons who was helping the police department find people who have committed crime. She was one of those people who could give information. So she was what you call was the people, I forgot what they called them now. But she was one of those people that worked with the police department identifying people, criminals. So she had great gifts. She had great gifts. And I didn't know that I moved to where I had moved to from Beverly to Hyde Park. And I moved in the townhouse. And so the president of the townhouse, time I got there, said, Marrice, want you to be secretary because people are acting, people in townhouses just don't be acting, I don't know why. So I didn't know that that man was her husband till later after she had made her transition. And then later when he get ready to make his transition, I saw the daughters who he was in class with. So it's like this world is so small. And so he was there. And so then after I left, but going after that, somebody, this lady sat by me, Mabel Tucson. She was a good medium in Gary, Indiana. All these people are African Americans now. She was in Gary, Indiana. And so Mabel said to me, I think you should, she just gave me a reading, she turned to me, gave me a reading, said, I think you should go to Jesse James' class in Indiana, and you will develop faster and better. So of course, I didn't go back to that class, I went to Jesse James' class in Indiana. And you would not believe for about 3 years, not even more, I went to Indiana 2 times a week for class. I went one time, for all of you who may not want to do anything in the class, I went the one day for the class where we had on Wednesday night, we had our class, actual class where he taught us. On Friday night, all the students gave messages to the audience. It was free for audience, but all the students performed for the audience. That was, and every night, every week we had to do that. That was part of our duty. So we went every night. I rode with Mr. Charles, Millard Frazier, and we rode to Reverend Jesse James Church. Reverend Jesse James now is not able. He's about 100 and something. And he's in Gary. His church too has closed. And he's just there. I hear he's not taking calls. I tried calling the other day and no answer. But I hear he's making his transition slowly. So his church was one of the bigger churches in the Indiana Association. He was in the Indiana Association. He's one of the bigger churches. He had lots of people there, African American. But his church tended to be, as years went by, the last 3 years, it tend to be more gospel churches and more Jesus churches. It's people that came there. Now he didn't do it, it's people that came from other churches in the community who was very Jesus and God oriented. And they would come there and then go to other churches that have been there, been a part of that. And so you would believe that he had a lady that was up there every Sunday almost. They played the music, and they had somebody who really played, they played the jazzy up gospel or something. And so they were singing these songs, these Jesus kind of songs. I'm like, y'all not supposed to be singing these songs, playing these songs. So they sing those songs, and then this lady would get up and do her dance. She would shout. So some of the churches varies in what they do, but they're not supposed to do it. But you can't tell them. I was on the board when they were doing it. I didn't report them. I just, because you have a church closing up for nothing. You know, you can't have people, you can't control people. And they're in Gary and Anna. I don't know if you know Gary and Anna. It's sort of different, and a lot of people was into Jesus and God. I did to people houses and read to them, and it was into things that other people, you know, I looked at other sites I've gone to, other states, they're not into those things. Well, but Millard and I and Mr. Charles went over there. Mr. Charles just went with us, and he was a writer. And I just learned last night when I was calling somebody about these people, about him. He's made his transition too. He must have been about 90 or something when he made his transition. Millard Frazier, this is what I want you to know. Millard Frazier was in our class, and he was reading a little bit, but wasn't reading much. Then all of a sudden, he was a great medium in terms of he was a transpose, the spirit would transpose over you, challenge. What they call the
transfiguration.
Yeah, challenge. But you know what, the spirit comes out. Yeah, the spirit. He was so great, and he just took up doors and just so great in giving messages. So I'm telling you, don't worry about how you're not performing. If you're in league and how you're not performing real well in the beginning, because when we was in those classes, he wasn't hardly doing very much. But when we was driving over there, but when he just developed out, he was great. He was there. But Millard, I'm telling you, all of us did work in the community. Millard had barber shops all in the community. He had barber shops and what he had a business sewing factory on the west side. He had a barber shop in 43rd Street on the over east. He had barber shops probably on the west side, west over east, and he worked a lot in the communities and gave a lot in the communities. Millard was coming. He was in the community, directly in the community where gangs and everything, living, working with people. Millard was getting ready to walk out of his barber shop one night, and he was shot in the back and killed. And since I've been at this church, then we had Joseph Geis at that church, and Joseph Geis has now made his transition too. He was one of the pastors at this church in Chicago, and Trudy Person was one of the pastors. All these people I'm in class with now. We had a big class of people that's transforming, but a lot of them started out when they were older. They were older when they started out. But what happened is that they were older, but they became, wonderful mediums. And Trudy was very articulate. She just said her words so perfectly and everything. And she believed in how to conduct yourself professionally and to speak properly. And so all of us were very different in how we performed. But Miss Washington made all of us. If you wasn't getting it right, she'd tell you to sit down right there. Sit down. He's like, you getting up and you stomach. She said, sit down. But we tell you to sit down now, you won't come back. But she would tell you to sit down. So this is a different time than what we had then. But all of us, and I worked in the community at Chicago Youth Centers and House and everything, every place else, and in American College. So we all worked in the community. We know community. We were community minded. And Trudy worked at some of the stores, and she worked at Robinson Ribs. She managed Robinson Ribs, and Joseph Dyson barbershop. So we all and Mr. Charles worked at the college, Schuster College. So all of us was in the area of helping the community. But one thing I want you to know that all those African Americans are gone now. They're deceased. Now, where are we in terms of program? There's no one to run a church in Gary, Indiana, because all those people they're spiritualist churches over there, but they're spiritism, and what else they might be, April? She knows all the churches, what people do.
Spiritualist church?
What else they might, I think some of them call it spiritism, but they do everything.
Oh yeah, well you got African-centered ones, Far Religion, you got Asian, I'm not sure what all they have over there, but I know there's a lot of Yoruba.
Yoruba, yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of those. So those that she said, and some believe, and now most of them blend the Jesus and the gospel in.
Well, Yoruba doesn't.
Uses them, but the others don't. But they blend it into their way of teaching. But Yoruba does not. So I said we might have a workshop here on all this, so we can understand the different types of religion and the different types of way people in this northern part of the country really see religion. Then but I want to say there's no other, in this, when we finish this right now today, in the Spiritual Association of Churches in the Chicago area, there's only one, I think, Black minister, and that is myself. And the next one would be Audrey. And that's all. That's all. And that'll be Gary, the woman. Anybody looking for Gary? Because there's someone, long time before I got there was a young woman who's a lawyer, was nearby Frazier's wife. She joined and she passed her test, and something happened with her with the national, and she came right out. She didn't like it. She had a problem with the national, and so she quit the religion. She gave her papers back. So that is interesting how we find that. Like you found Rose Anderson, the woman I was telling you about, I was in her class briefly. She was not a medium of this religion. Reverend Cobbs, who had the biggest church, spiritual church in Chicago, probably Illinois, was not a spiritualist organization. I think he might have been a long time ago. And he came out when the church separated, the blacks separated from the whites, and then they went back. But there is no African American mediums in none of the churches. I see Cairo did not have the Church of North, and Cairo they didn't have an African American mediums. They had some in Ambrosius Church that's now passed. All the churches is folded. All the national churches are gone except this church right here. All the rest are gone. You had the Cairo one. You had the one up on Ambrosius Church up on. You go out, it's north of, I forgot the address now, but it's over there by Fort City, not Fort City, the other shopping center going east. And so her church is over there, and she had an African American working, but not as African American with credentials. But she had one of our good leaders, very good leaders, who made the transition. But another thing I want to talk about is that all these African Americans and white ministers as well have made their transitions early. But a lot of us didn't make the transition early. We made them late, got into religion early, and started getting our papers and things early. Late. But a lot of us also have made our transitions early. I look at Darlene made her transition early. She was in this. Now Darlene served the Puritan Church. That was the one I was speaking of a moment ago. That's over there by the forts. Not forts. They just came to me and they went away over east, off of 157th Street. Darlene with her, she would serve that church like she was the minister, but she wasn't the part of national part program was so hard to get through, I guess, that that you had to go there 2 weeks and off to Lilydale. And fortunately, I was working in a vibration that the center director, so I could take 2 weeks off, and you had to go to Lilydale and take this class in order to pass and be on the and get certified for national. Like Audrey and Elizabeth would take it, and they're going 2 weeks. They brought this to Milwaukee, to the Morris Pratt for them. They're changing things. They're trying to make things much more meaningful. But follow you, I want you to think about where your mediumship is and how you want to do and what you're going to do if you want to be a part of national. Because it's important that we don't lose our religion, lose our church. It's 3 people in here with their credentials. That's Elizabeth, Audrey, and Janice. So I want to say Janice' partner is still in hospice, and I'll be praying with them tomorrow at 8. So I don't know what the condition is. They just said they want me here, that she listened to my prayer. She was listening to my sermon on the last sermon that I had. She was listening to it. But so it's important that you don't lose that spark and that energy. So what I'm going to do is start our class back as soon as it gets the weather breaks. We'll start our class back and see what we can do so that we can get medium certified, more medium certified. And I'm leaving soon, and I'd like to have these. I won't get you all certified, but one thing I will do is continue to work with the class. And God, that's my advice is to make sure that more mediums get certified, to do what I can to get you certified. So we have two mediums helped us now, and they're great mediums. They've been everywhere and know everything. They're smart, so they could go through this class easily, Julia and Rainbow. And so we hope that they get in the class. But it's because a lot of people, embrace so much, and this National Spiritual Association is kind of narrow in terms of what it believes in and how it's the platform. And so a lot of people don't want to be in it. And what a lot of people do is get their papers from you and then they quit in the other churches, not in here, but in other churches. Some happen in Norfolk, Norfolk and California, people have done that. So I just want you to know a little bit about it, because it's on my heart that this church must survive. And I don't want one pastor or one person to be certified, not one pastor, but one person to be certified, because that means if that person is married and run off, the church has nobody. Or the person, make a transition, it has nobody. So I want this church to be, and I don't want to go through what it went through when Reverend Schoenfeld died, when they had to find somebody. So I want people to know, the people who run the church to know who it is. And I think it's the body to make sure that we have a good board and we have a good group of people to run the church. So we need to run the church with all kinds of people, just not African American. This is a multiracial, multi-centered church, and I'd like for some Hispanics and etc. Anybody that comes, Polish people to become class. I can't speak the language, but hopefully you speak English. So to become part and take the classes with us so that you can be certified, so this church can stay a multi-centered, multi-purpose church with everybody, one person, one soul, one voice. So everybody, that's the sermon for today. Thank you so much. I hope you know more.